In a world filled with noise and chaos, where the pace of life seems to accelerate with each passing day, there exists a quiet sanctuary, a place for contemplation, connection, and profound transformation.
Welcome to Awaecnian Odyssey, a journey of discovery into the depths of the human spirit. Here, amidst the hustle and bustle of modern life, we invite you to pause, to breathe, and to explore the timeless questions that unite us all.
From the wisdom of ancient traditions to the insights of modern thinkers, each episode of our series offers a glimpse into the rich tapestry of human experience. Through inspiring stories, thought-provoking conversations, and transformative insights, we embark on a quest for meaning, purpose, and authentic connection.
So join us on this extraordinary odyssey, a journey of self-discovery, compassion, and empowerment. Together, let us delve into the depths of our shared humanity as we awaken to the infinite possibilities that lie within.
This is Awaecnian Odyssey, exploring the depths of the human spirit with hosts Marie Ferguson and Felicia Lee.
Let the journey begin. Viewer discretion is advised. This program may contain explicit or triggering content. Parental guidance is suggested. Hello, wonderful people, viewers, starseeds, and just epic humans. I am Marie Ferguson, and this is the gorgeous Felicia Lee from Awaecnian Academy, and we're here for another gorgeous episode of Awaecnian Odyssey. And going down this rabbit hole, this journey, this odyssey of discovering yourself, your gifts, the depths of our human experience, and sharing our personal stories has been something that we just really thoroughly enjoy doing. And Flea, how are you today? What are you excited about? And what's come up in the field for today's topics?
I love that. Just listening to that introduction and some of the shadow pieces that pop into my head were like, it's cutting, it's blurring, and there's different tech issues with the sound and everything, and that eating at me going, now I want to stop and I want to change it. And it kind of eats at you a little bit. But there was a really beautiful phrase right before we came on, and it was the just breathe. And I really feel that is like that motto that we just absolutely love. And we talk about the hard stuff. We really do. We dive into the nitty gritty. Like there's nothing that's unsaid when it comes to the depth of the level of self-discovery that we communicate with. And sometimes some of that is so hard. And that phrase, that just breathe, you have honed and coined that. We need to mark it and put a lovely little catchphrase on that, just breathe. Because that there is the essence of it all. Like when everything is so dark and so down, all you can do is just stop and breathe. And for me, like that is something that has popped up this week, and we had a beautiful discussion yesterday that was full of tears and anguish that really just dive deeper into that darkness of self, that loneliness that we feel, even though we're technically never alone. We always have energy around us, whether it be our guides, whether it be friends, family, or even just bypassers and strangers that interact with us. We're never really alone. And yet that feeling right in our solar plexus, that feeling of loneliness, that really is something that I feel we need to discuss today.
Yeah, this depth of the cosmic darkness, which feels like it's the abyss.
Oh no, we're having tech glitches. We love these tech glitches. And this is what happens to us is we get so in our minds about the energy of things that
Something
go
that has
wrong.
been in the field a
And
lot.
we did just lose you for a second there,
Yeah.
so I'm going to have to get you to repeat all of that because we even had a beautiful
Oh,
yellow circle for you instead. So,
interesting. And it's thing about perspective, because for me, I was still talking and I could see myself, and it was you going blank. But these blips. But I'll share what I just shared just before. These parts of ourselves where it's like this depth of the darkness, these blips where we think about our existence. Like for me, it was like you didn't exist for a moment, and I was talking about this existential, and vice versa. You saw me disappear, but this feeling that everything I do, does it even matter? And
mm,
this piece around existence, if I didn't even exist, would that even matter? And these feelings of being alone, which is a core human piece within the deep fear that is ingrained within the human psyche, that when you break down any type of wounding, any type of um, the pieces of abandonment or grief or anger, a lot of it does come back to these feelings of, I feel alone, like no one knows I'm even here, I'm not even seen, the worthy pieces, abandonment, I'm not that, I'm not good enough for you to stay, whether it's parents, whether it's lovers, whether it's children, this abandonment piece, that I'm going to be alone, and if I don't do something, I'm not going to like cling on to that, and this clinging energy, this desperation, I've
mm,
felt this sense of desperation to survive, which is again ingrained in the the pieces around, doesn't even matter, the things I'm doing, the purpose, and these big existential thoughts um, are really framed around existence, around purpose, around living and being. And we had really some beautiful, deep pieces revealed. We weren't even expecting. Most of the times when we talk about things, we feel the things, and a thread will lead to this and
mm,
this. And then there's like, it feels like these big volcanic eruptions where it's like, I was holding on to a lot and I wasn't expecting that to come up for me. Or, if this was you, and to witness that, I think is really fascinating, beautiful, hard,
mm,
courageous, vulnerable, also soft, to even just to soften into the tears, into the feeling. It's a lot for a body, our vessel, to
mm.
experience and shift and alchemize and go through and feel. And it's these pieces we're going to be talking about today, because some things in our families, in conversations, in our community, things that people still don't want to talk about. If we don't talk about it, if we don't hear it, it doesn't happen. Or that's to somebody else. And these are the pieces of disconnect and separation that I know, Flea, we were talking about, and you feel this beautiful purpose to reconnect and come back into wholeness, and remember that we are still fully whole and not alone, and part of God's source energy, universal energy, something grander than what our humanness can feel or understand. But it's to understand that disconnect, which is a beautiful lesson for this type of existence. And that's, I think, the threads we're going to be leaning
Mm,
into today.
so much so. And a lot of what we're talking about right now actually comes just from following that intuition. We have learned over the last year, and it is a learning process, and we're still learning, but learning how to hone in on and trust those messages that come to us that are unusual and maybe people won't believe us, and that does create this sense of aloneness, this sense that nobody's going to understand this feeling that I have. It is so not of this world. It's not ordinary. It's not typical behavior. And I I love the messages because what I did is I had a card. This beautiful yellow card can mean absolutely nothing to one person, but absolutely everything to somebody else. The solar plexus, our driving energy, our desire, our place where we fit and belong, where our creativity comes from. This is the energy within us. And generally, when we think creativity, it's this idea that we create something. For it to be of value, somebody else has to appreciate. So the minute we create something that is outside of ourselves, any type of artwork, art form, it's there to be appreciated by someone else. But the appreciation comes with labels and terminologies, and those terminologies are our emotions. And why this card means everything to me is because it brought my attention back to, okay, well, what's the yellow in our emotions, in our negative emotions? And the yellow is that sense of aloneness. And this is what started this topic, this conversation, and this is how we communicate with each other. Is we start these, well, what is it that is aloneness for you? And it's that sense of separation from self. But some of these are actually really nice. To be detached from something can be quite powerful. It's like you can separate yourself from the emotion of it having to be perfect in that detachment. And this is where polarity comes in, because this is a negative emotion wheel. The flip side, there has to be a positive that matches. What I love about polarity is in that distinction that some of the negative can actually be those positive. So that detachment can be a positive. It can be good to detach emotionally from something that you're creating. To feel excluded from something can actually be a positive, because it can highlight for you what it actually means to be included. And you can then see, okay, well, why am I being excluded from a group? Maybe we don't have the same taste in music. We don't have the same type of conversational language, so therefore we don't understand one another. Maybe it is just because we need to have the polar opposite to highlight what it is that we love. And it's so powerful to have this awareness of just the simple things of intuition that come from diving deep into that shadow work, questioning these feelings. Like, why am I feeling desperate? Why am I feeling withdrawn, isolated, detached from the world? Why am I feeling so vulnerable that there is nobody on this planet for me? That why? What else could it be? Comes with that intuitive feeling, that intuitive advice that we need to listen to. And this is what we want to teach, is from the heart, that education, that love of the self, to know that these feelings, these emotions mean more than what we're giving credit to. It's more than that single word.
Mm.
What is detachment for you, Marie?
I just think the art of detachment, that's the first thing. There's an artistry, and we were talking about this earlier, in everything we do. And there is beauty, like you said, being in the passion, in the moment, in the creative now, the eternal now, the creative. It is the creative now. And there's also this art of, okay, I've done the thing. Let's just see what happens. And so this piece around detachment comes a lot of discernment, boundary setting, learning non-judgment, even though you can notice the stories in your head, but then to let that go and to surrender. So this art of detachment in surrendering, I think, comes with a fine balance. And like everything on a scale, on this polarity scale, there's extremities of everything. We can fully detach and go numb and to be totally isolated from the world, which can then lead down negative thoughts, patterning, horrible things. Like, and this is a trigger warning in this episode, we are going to say the word suicide, because people don't talk about this level down here, this depth, enough, because they're too scared to, or they may be feeling these mirror effects. But then on the other extremity, down this side, you've got this beautiful piece about ownership, creating, stepping into your sovereignty, owning these parts of yourself that are divine and human, and claiming that sovereignly, claiming that, and not detaching, and owning that part of yourself with a deep respect and love. And a spectrum that it's all on the same, but it's just the gray in between, and the colors and the shades of experience. And I found that detaching in some things that I've experienced in my life, I know what that felt experience in my body was like, to detach from my family, from my body. It felt for me like I was so numb. I was being such a faker in the world. I was putting on this mask to appear okay, and I really wasn't. And I go back to this catalytic moments that really threw me back into my body, back into the experience of feeling what detachment, what loss, what grief was like, what it was to lose my sense of identity, to then on the flip side, learning how to reclaim, listen deeper, respect, love myself first, in order to dance with this artistry of mastering my emotions, my nervous system, having visions and missions and goals, but also detaching and trusting in that detachment what the universe has to unfold. And that intuitive piece that you were saying, allowing that to come online with a deep, deep trust and faith, knowing, and this knowingness, this gnosis that comes online in these enriching experiences of understanding life and death and grief and rebirth. And it was through those miscarriages that I've shared in past, interviews and lives, that was the catalyst to remembering the power in also losing yourself, and this depth of what understanding grief is like, what understanding deep rage is like, what understanding losing yourself is like, in order to let that darkness kind of encapsulate you, for it to be noticed and felt, knowing that it's not alone, if that makes sense. Like I think about the cosmic, the universe, the darkness is so actually alive. Think about the womb space. We are like nurtured in the darkness, but in the aliveness of it, that it is not actually what we perceive it to be. And within that polarity of dark and light, that there is so much light and life. And so this depth of, when we feel so lost, these parts of humanity and people and loved ones that we see, the young people, family members, people in our community that take their lives because they felt that they were so alone, that they couldn't see the light within themselves, that they couldn't find the hope, or even having people that they love not being enough for them to choose life like that. That's an epidemic that is toxically ingrained in our cells, that I feel like we are bringing that awareness to break, because life is so, so important.
Mm.
I breathe again.
It's it's such a heavy thing to talk about, and at the same time, like, it does need to be, because we're seeing more and more people that, will mention that they've thought about it, or that they're in such a dark place that they don't feel they can continue anymore. And I I've spent my life like striving to live. Like, I had this fear of death because it was this point of like, I need to experience everything. Like, I want to travel, I want to do this, and I want to do great things in the world. And there's so much here to explore that just doesn't get to be explored. Like, if you think in one lifetime, you could not see everything. And, that theory of rebirth comes in, and it's like, oh, okay, actually, I do get to see everything. But then the singularity, the driving force, but actually, no, I don't, because I only get to experience this meat suit, this avatar, this body, this lifetime right now. I only get to do that once. I only get to be me once. And yet, for me, my entire life, I've had people telling me to be everything but me. Oh, you've got to get a job. You've got to do this. You can't just want to be a mum. Um, you know, be different to your mother, be different to your father. When you grow up, do this. And then you get in a relationship. Oh, you should be more like this, and you should want to do these things. And oh, forget about your friends. Like, all of these changes that are pushed upon us. It's like, be everything but you. And that's empty, because like, the the most time you spend with any energy or energetic energy is yourself. And yet, I was speaking about this yesterday, we treat our things, our our material items, better than we treat our own vessel. This one thing gets this one life. This Felicia Lee that I will never ever get to be again only gets this one life. It only gets a short amount of time to experience what it's like to be 5'2" and, a little bit overweight and unhealthy and getting older, and experiencing the connections that I get to experience in this particular environment. Like, it is so powerful, and yet so underappreciated. I know that I will fork money out, and this is where our self-worth comes from. Those letters don't want to work. Is that we're we're so ingrained on putting a value on things. So, oh, I have the best TV, I've got the best tech, I've got the best haircut, I get my nails done here, I buy my clothes from here. I feel fabulous with all of these extras that I'm putting on top of my vessel. All of these things that all have a value that we all love. Oh yeah, I've got to have my nice new car, and I like my music, and I like my lattes, and all, like, we love it. That's fine. That's the experience. But where's the love here? And after a life of people telling me that I needed to be everything but what was in here, I crumbled. I've spent the last, I have to say, probably 10 years thinking about the fact that death would be better than living. It's like, okay, I've really had life thrown at me. I've had experiences of all sorts. And it's like, okay, all of that has to be for a purpose. All of that karma has to come back, the good has to be coming. And the more I see this detachment in humanity, the separation that is existent in so many, and especially the young, and this is where it kills me, because working with young people that don't have that inspiration and that passion to live is like, what has happened to the world? What has happened isn't just inside me anymore. It's spread and it's leached out like a parasite into our youth that no longer feel that there's anything to hope for, because why would they want to be like mummy and daddy, who are crumbling and crushed and don't love each other and don't love themselves? Like, I remember my kids looking at me going, Mummy, do I get to be like you when I grow up? And me go, oh no, you get to be better than me. Like, what a horrid thing to say. Oh yes, cool, if you want to be. If you want to be like me and you love that, yeah, great, be that. But no, I was in rejection of me. And so I taught to my kids that it was no value in being yourself. You have to be like everybody else. And that hurts. That takes a torment on your soul. And every day, like, I know my feelings. I'm an energetic being. I can sit down and cry at the touch of a hat and get so absorbed by a character on TV that I literally feel like that person was part of my life and they've just died. I cry at graduations of kids that I've never ever met. It's like, oh yes, you did it, celebration of life. But at the same time, inside of me, I'm just like, well, where's my life? When do I get to experience and show people how much I can shine? And each one of us are doing that. We're hiding the true person inside. We're so ashamed to just be this vessel because for some reason, what we need is outside of us. What we need is right here. We are the mimic version of the earth we live on. We are a container that holds life inside of us. Our body is alive. It's a living vessel that needs things to take care of it. And I can see it. Like, I know in the last 2 weeks, I have not been taking care of myself. I've been very depressed and down. And when I'm depressed and down, I see it. I see it in my face. I see it in my skin. I see it in everything that wants to crease. And it's like, I didn't look like this last week. But this week, it's like, okay, why? I'm not caring for my vessel. I am not my top priority. I will be the first to cook a meal to make sure that everybody else has a good lunch. And what do I eat? I eat what's in a packet because I couldn't be bothered caring for me. It's like this has been so pushed to the side that death actually seems like a blessing because there is no more life inside of me. It's like, oh, cool. I can die and I can be reborn again as something else. And maybe that something else will be the better version of what I was here to experience this time. Will it? Will it actually be a better version? Because the world repeats in cycles that don't ever change. You might not be the minority group this time. You might not be the person that gets abused this time. Like, we do that to each other because we're in so much hatred of ourselves. And I can't stand this anymore. I can't stand being in a world where there is so much hatred for ourselves that just keeps getting projected out. It's like, nobody will accept me, so I'm not going to accept you. Well, it takes one person to turn around and say, actually, no, I accept you, all of you. No matter what you want to tell me, like, that's fine. You be you. You want to be gay, you want to be bi, you call your name, that's fine. I'm 100% with you in your identity as long as you know that that is what actually makes you feel full. I'm not going to argue on what makes you feel full because that's what is needed. We need that heart-led understanding and direction that there is always more. There is always another way. There is always hope. And even when things are bad, they're bad because it has to highlight the good. We have
Mm.
to have that negative. Being happy all day turns into a negative because your face and your jaw and your head all hurts. We've done the whole hour session of laughing nonstop. It's painful. Just saying.
It's so powerful what you've shared there because a lot of us think it and then we keep it suppressed. And that's part of the problem because whether it's a loved one or a family member or a friend, sometimes, we put that mask on, that happy face mask where it's like, I'm okay, I'm okay. I don't want to bother you with this because it's quite dark and heavy. So I'm not going to say anything and I'll just silently suffer inside. And, we shared some thoughts yesterday where, when relationships sometimes are going through hard conversations or hard times and a lot of it, I think, with relationships, why there's so many divorce rates rising, it's got to do with finances, safety in your home, in the career, in the status things that give you that sense of safety of what your identity is, and whether your partner, your husband, your wife, your lover, whoever can go to that depth of seeing you for all of you, I think is a really big lesson and reflection. Sometimes it's hard to meet the other person in those hard conversations, whether you're in debt, whether you are looking for a job, you're worried about paying the next bill, the next thing, the rates have gone up, and all the pressures of society. And I know I've had those thoughts driving, and then I shame myself because I'll be driving and go, what if I hit that tree? Would that just make everything go away? What if this happened? And when we share these parts of ourselves, it releases it. And what's that color there that you're pointing to in the
You just said, and I had those thoughts of being alone that went to shame, which is embarrassment.
like
To
how
feel
dare
shame
I?
of any sort is embarrassment. I'm
Yeah,
embarrassed to have those thoughts, embarrassed to feel this weak, this low.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
cycle.
yeah. And what I choose to shift in speaking, in sharing, is to alchemize that, to acknowledge with awareness these parts of myself, the darkness, the
Mm.
shadow, knowing that those are just thoughts. I'm not actioning them. I'm still choosing to see them there like clouds floating by and go, okay, I'm going to feel that. I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to still choose to take the breath, choose to think about my family, my daughter, my husband, choose to think about the ripple effect, think about my dreams again, what I am drawn to empower and to bring that hope. And it's that continual bring that hope to yourself, trusting that even it may be that little glimmer of hope, that little glimmer is actually bigger than what we initially thought or felt. But to allow those thoughts, feelings to be seen, to talk into it, have the dialogue with someone that's there to listen and to see you and witness you, then gets it out of here, out of the here and the gunk and the things that and the cloudedness, and knowing that these emotions, like we may in our minds we go bad, good, but emotions aren't bad or good. They're just there to communicate to us on a spectrum of what our body is experiencing and that piece of shame. So noticing that, and it's like, okay, I see that, I feel that. There's actually nothing to be ashamed of, really. Nothing, when you think about the action, there's not like it's my own shame to even have thought the thoughts. But to be human, we think all kinds of things. And then I let that
I'd love
pass
for
and then
you
I
to
bring it
change
back.
that word, Marie. I'd love for you to change that word to I was embarrassed. Don't say
Mm,
I was ashamed or I felt shame, because shame actually is not the term. It is not
mm.
the feeling. The feeling is embarrassment.
Yeah, it is.
And when
Yeah,
you
embarrassing.
start to change that language to I was embarrassed to have
Mm,
that thought, that feeling, it it really does alchemize and shift
yeah.
that mentality. And this is one of the main ones that people struggle with is shame. Like, I was so embarrassed I
Mm,
made that decision. I chose this. I did that to my family or whatever. That embarrassment, that is what it is. It's an
mm,
embarrassment. I did something outside the norms that
yeah,
caused some type of a counter response to somebody else. It's
yeah,
embarrassment. And to be
totally.
embarrassed, like, if you think of embarrassment, it's funny as well. Like, I always think of embarrassment as the clowns that stumble and fall and that's squeaky. And it's like, okay, well, if you shift shame to embarrassment, ha ha, funny, I tripped and I fell type thing, and you look at that particular emotion, that one there
Mm,
is the easiest one to shift, because then you can go, okay, let's look at it from the humorous side. And that then really allows your brain to switch the thought, okay, I'm not ashamed anymore. There's nothing done to me. This is a feeling I'm creating within myself of embarrassment because it doesn't really fit with the norms
mm,
that I'm aware of. Why?
yeah.
Why do we feel that having those thoughts is wrong or incorrect.
Mm,
That there is the power to shift your mindset, is
yeah.
taking that one single thought, emotion, feeling. What else could it be?
Yeah. Totally. And even that sense of embarrassment, but then tracking it down. I remember when I had a beautiful psychologist during this time, he brought me back to actually writing down the emotions and feelings where I was getting frustrated at some kids and teenagers, and I snapped at some kid and anger popped out. And then she's like, well, track it down. So you were feeling overwhelmed, which then led to frustration, which led to then anger, which then led to shame, embarrassment. And then it was
Mhm,
like all
because
of
why?
these threads. Yeah. And then I was like embarrassed for myself that I snapped at kids because they weren't listening and then blah, blah, blah. And she's like, but all of these responses, your body was trying to tell you something. Is there anything to be embarrassed or ashamed about? No. All of these responses were valid in the moment, in the context, in the experience, because your body was processing and feeling the things. And it was that deeper awareness that you've highlighted, even just in that word change, because our emotional intelligence, you know,
Mm,
as we're growing, evolving, being able to identify our emotions is one thing, writing it down, then to shift the awareness to notice our language, to be able to
mm,
consciously then be aware. I think it does also come down to, in that realization, asking for help, asking for, for people like mentors, facilitators, a psychologist, a doctor, or somebody to help. And
mm,
we don't we don't ask for help enough, and that's why many people sadly go down that path of just wanting to escape. And this sense of escapism is again another, we can escape through movies, we can escape through drug, alcohol, we can escape through sex, we can escape through, and all of these things are sensory experiences through the nervous system. Our senses are not, being met. And so therefore we try to escape and feel things to forget or to numb or to disconnect because we're
mm,
not ready to feel the things, and that you can feel all of the depth and all the things by asking for help. So then we have strategies to shift and to support you to integrate those things. And it's that integration, particularly like the lower chakras, like you mentioned, the solar plexus, sacral root. You're invited to consider, yeah, integrating those colors. So it's like the orange, the yellow, the reds, and integrating that. And that can be hard work and effort for the
mm,
vessel, for the body, but we are capable of it. And this is the spin, that this resilience that we build, the strength, the sense of hope in choosing to breathe, to take that next step, that allows us to come back to a sense of trust for our nervous system, our
mm.
bodies, to trust in others, to trust in humanity again. And this is, again, how we get to shift the ripple effect of what goes out.
I'd love to bring this back too, because what you just mentioned there, those lower chakras. So from this point to that point, that is the embarrassed, the anger, and the loneliness. So when we consider those ones, they're all from our past. They're all connected to what we have experienced historically. So it is that depression range. The lowest chakras are energetically connected to our past history and therefore decisions made in regards to that. And that's generally where we get stuck in the past and held back by things that we have experienced before that may not have gone our way. When we get to understand this lower level and we start to balance that, like we can't change the past, when we look at these emotions in a different way, like actually, what else could it be? Why else would I be feeling this? Start asking those deep, nourishing questions of yourself. That's all your journal work and everything that happens in that grounding level of awareness. You then get to shift into the higher realms, which is like from your heart chakra, the green to the blue to the purple. These are actually all your fear-based ones. So fear, sadness, dislike. So it's the things that we're unsure of in the future. It's the stuff that we're striving for that we just actually have no past history to connect to it, and we're in fear of it because it's the unknown. And when we look at our emotions in this sense of duality, is okay, we're looking past and future, these different sides, these different angles, our body is literally doing that for us. We need the base of our body to move us forward into the future. We need that deep understanding of our history, of our core emotions, which all sit within that area of our body, in our safety network, in our foundation. So what we are taught when we're brought up, how we're taught in school, in the environment that we live in, our friends and our family, and the culture that we're surrounded by, the entertainment that is shown in our area that is socially acceptable. All of these things dictate that groundedness in the root. It takes us all back into that fear based, shame based, anger based area that prevents us from moving into the future. And that's the disconnect there. It's when we are
Mm,
no longer looking at our pain, we're not looking at what makes us uncomfortable, and we're not challenging that. It's like, I don't like living in a world where society is not safe. This is my issue, this is my mission. It's the thing that is here to drive me. Why? Because it attacks my personal safety. It attacks me at my core. It ungrounds me, makes me feel uncentered. That disruption to my body causes disease within me because I'm making all the wrong choices and I'm doing all the wrong things and adding on to that embarrassment, shame terminology. And that then prevents that movement forward. Why? Because I've got to make the changes to shift into things that I want. I have to make healthier choices and decisions so that I'm not going to be limited by the things that are holding me back. Obviously, if I want to be a marathon runner and I'm eating bags of chocolate every day, it's not really going to go hand in hand with the future goals. So it will be impossible because I'm allowing my past to dictate my future.
mm,
And it's so simple. It is literally our bodies, and our bodies are replicated in Earth. The minute we
mm,
understand what we're feeling inside, where it is, oh, I'm feeling icky and yuck. Okay, is it anxiety because I'm excited? Because excitement and embarrassment replicate in the body. They feel the same. The only difference
mm,
is the attachment, the core emotion that we have with it. Oh, I'm so excited, I'm anxious. That
mm.
anxiousness makes me fear moving forward because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
These words, these
yeah,
terms that are getting thrown around like it's some type of disease is just us not knowing us. And when we don't know us, we don't live in a world that's safe. And this is where my mission comes in and why I don't feel connected. I need to feel
mm,
safe in my body to be able to express this, to express my feelings, and know that people aren't going to be responsive of that. Me expressing my truth is just my truth. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it. That's fine, that's your truth. I'm not here to fight with you on it. But I would love it if you could listen and hear me in it, because maybe
yeah.
it might have some value for you later on in the future.
That's it.
And it's so powerful.
It's
And
like
it's
the
so
seed.
simple, really.
Yeah, yeah, it totally is. And rooting in your body so that then the higher intuition, the trust, the safety then gets to become more one. Like, we can compartmentalize the emotions, we can compartmentalize our chakra systems to understand, but really, our vessel is designed to work as one and to work in harmony with all of the pieces. And so this links beautifully with our little ad that we're going to share, and connecting back into that oneness, getting excited about diving deeper into understanding yourself, getting excited about, okay, well, what other changes can I make to understand who I am? Who else can I tap into to inspire me, to shift my mindset? And so, Turnkey Transformation, our summit that's coming up, we'll share a little bit more about soon. But listen in to a couple of testimonials.
Hello, my name is Maitri. I'm a sound healer and an empowerment coach. I recently attended Awaken Summit, organized by beautiful Felicia Lee and Mary Ferguson. I truly recommend you to join the Awaken Summit because Mary Ferguson and Felicia Lee, they're absolutely amazing ladies. They are here to change the world for the better, to elevate the frequency of this planet. And I truly align.
Testimonial. This is a testimonial for Marie Ferguson and Felicia Flea. I mean, they've done an outstanding job. You feel me? I'm talking modern day excellence, right? For those who are seeking a better life, for those who are seeking answers, for those who are seeking to have some depth as well as width, I believe you got more than what you bargained for. There was a range of speakers. What we're talking, like 49 different speakers. Yeah, we're talking 13 different countries, all bringing unique experiences, tailored experiences to healing, to energy. Speaking of energy, this journey goes. If you're listening to this, Marie, I said Marie and Felicia, well, that's crazy, guys. But yeah, I appreciate you and thank you. I was one of the guests who was speaking at the events. I was on the Architects of Destiny panel too. And yeah, it was an honor and a privilege.
Oh, how beautiful. I love Maitri and Richard. Maybe we should go by Melisha now.
Alicia?
Melisha.
Or I'm a Felicia Flea? Felicia Flea? Felicia Flea?
I
like that
love
one
it.
too.
I love the high vibe and just the authenticity from them both. And we love that they're coming back for our next summit in August. But these pieces of integration, these stories that we're sharing to shift more into your authenticity so that when you are feeling lost, perhaps alone, knowing that you've got a tribe, you have people like us, people that are Awakeans. There are people in your own family, your own networks that are here for you. And it's reaching out for help, asking to have a chat with someone, taking that breath to even just allow those thoughts to be released, to ground back into your body. And like you said before, that beautiful ad, a lot of these techniques are really simple for us to come back into harmony, to come back to a state of control so that we can action more safety in our bodies, safety in others, and then in our communities. And like it's this big, deep piece of trust in humanity again. Like you said, I don't want to live in a world where we're seeing all the chaos or the disaster. I don't want my daughter to be growing up in this world. You know, she's aware of things, but I also see the beauty. There is so much beauty and aliveness and color and love and life. Like I hear the birds around me. I see your beautiful creative artworks behind you. And it's like, yes, we can be aware of the heavy things, but again, the flip side is we can be aware of the light, aware of the beauty within ourselves and others. And it's remembering to come back to self. And it's this sacred selfishness that I talk about where, you know, looking after your body, eating good food, looking after this vessel as you were sharing, Fleet, earlier, taking care of your skin, taking care of your voice. That is something that is so required It's a requirement for us to stay vital, the vitality. That's where I'm going with this, the vitality that we all have access to in that solar plexus, which is the life
Mm,
force, the solar plexus sacral. You know, we're all born from the womb, that creation portal and that energy center. We all work together, being rooted in this physical body, the every part of our elements from the earth. And then we get to, and we spoke about this word get to in our last podcast.
mm,
When we get to notice all the hard things, notice the challenges, and keep choosing to shift and change to enhance our lives. Like we've talked about, there's got
mm.
to be a better way. And it's taking that action, as you were saying, to make those changes and keep ourselves accountable. And when you're in tribe, we can keep ourselves accountable. We can talk to each other. We can hear each other out. And we can just listen, like you were saying, Flea.
And that was the best bit about that little ad and those testimonials. It's the connections. So yes, it's beautiful to hear those lovely words reflected back at us. But it's the connection being made. It's the knowing the person and their hopes and their dreams and having something bigger than yourself to be a part of. I know my one of my biggest, I guess, issues is the constant DMs and the messages of how are you doing today or are you okay? It is so shallow in its questioning, but also so loaded because like what are you actually asking the person? Are you asking them if they're mentally healthy and well and do you actually are you actually seeking about their wellness or are you just wanting to know generally how their life has been? It's such a deep question that is the slogan for mental health. Ask, are you okay? It's not enough. It's not enough to ask if you're okay because I know I've been sitting there looking at the phone like, the darkest thoughts in my head and that message, are you okay, pops up. And I'm like, oh, do you actually care? Do you actually have the time to listen to me? If I was to share, no, I'm not. I actually really wanted to kill myself right now. Would you actually have the time to talk to me? That's what goes through my head when I answer those messages. And I know if it goes through my head, it goes through other people's as well. And the thing is, you have to be willing to ask more. If you're reaching out because you generally feel there's something wrong with one of your friends, ask more, dive deeper. Be willing to actually have that conversation and connect, but give them something to look forward to because I know for me, the minute I have a project or I have something that's outside of myself to focus on, and that's why art is generally a good form of therapy and things like that because it does take your mind off it. You can't be mixing colors and concentrating on line work as well as still going through the how toxic you are. It doesn't happen. Like you'd literally just be scribbling holes into the paper because it'd be like, yeah. If you're trying to actually create, it takes thought, it takes breath, it takes patience, it takes that calm energy. So it's really helpful. So as a friend reaching out, when you reach out, you know something's wrong with one of your friends. They're off. They're not behaving the same way. Their answers are short and responsive. They're probably in a dark place. And in that dark place, they need purpose. We all need purpose, and I feel that that's what society is teaching us that we don't have. We don't have this togetherness anymore because we're all out to compete against one another. And it's like we're not competing, we want the same thing. If you're the teacher, I'm the teacher, it doesn't matter. You're the leader, I'm the leader, it doesn't matter. If the end objective is for us to all live in a happy, healthy, safe world where we feel accepted and full within ourselves, it doesn't matter who the leader is. It doesn't matter who was the first person to think of it or whether it was worth $3,000 or $5,000. Like that is not the point. The point is the togetherness. It's the union, it's the compassion, it's the connection. It's the only reason we are here on this planet is to exist together as this individual body.
Yeah, boom. And I think that's really vital. Don't just say it for the sake of saying it. Be willing to hold space and hear the person and be there, whether it's your own family members or not, without your own stories on top of it. I think that's the most vital thing, just to be really present. Be present with that person in that time as they're expressing their needs, their desires, without having to fix it for them. You're not here to fix it for them, but just to be there. And I've found in my own reflections of hard conversations, half the time where the tension points happen in those intimate relationships, whether it's my beautiful mother or my beautiful husband, in those beautiful, hard, emotional tension points, half the time it's me also just putting aside my agenda, or like I'll still say my piece if it's felt and whatnot, but most of the resolution has come from me listening to them, because they've been holding on to whatever it is, and that's why they've snapped or they've broken this out, because this is how they're wanting connection. And so a lot of my lessons have been in deep listening, and I'm exceptional at it, and I'm also still a novice, because there are times where I have my own things in my head and I'm like, just stop and breathe. Let's just focus on breathing and really listening and looking at that person so they feel the connection. And it's just as simple as that, because most of the time I found in my experience, things get resolved through them. They actually, in my experience, I become the filter. What I've learned is I actually haven't had to say much, because they solve it themselves, or they see the things themselves in the questions or in the, and that's been really magical and eye-opening and heart-opening for me to go, okay, I actually didn't have to do too much other than just listen.
It's the purpose. It's your it's not about the question. Like you said, you're not trying to fix them. It's about the willingness to sit there and listen, even if it has nothing to do with it. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be going, "Oh yeah, I wanted to kill myself." You'd be sitting there going, "Oh, I'm feeling really lost and alone, and like I just don't feel like I belong anywhere." That is the core essence. I don't feel like I belong anywhere. And having friends where you belong, okay, like I am needed to do these things. Okay, I can't be thinking about doing anything else if I'm needed to be doing things, because I belong. I matter. I have a purpose. I have something of value to contribute here that would be lost if I even considered on that thought process. And it's that purpose, it's that soul-driven purpose that we all need. And ultimately we actually have to start with ourselves. We actually have to dive deep, and we have to actually decide, what is that soul purpose? What is love to you? How do you receive it? Because like if we talk about love as a word of objective, that we all want it. Okay, yeah, we do, but what is it to you? Because you can have like great love without any physical connection. You can have a love that's just friendly and kind and nice. You can have a love that's passionate and like, what is love? Love is all forms of like. It's to be in likeness of your soul. When we love something, we're in likeness of our soul. Our soul resonates with that energy. And that's why we consider it love, and why there's so many versions of love. But the problem is when we're asking for it, do you know what version you're asking for? I'm asking for a deep, impactful connection where we can talk about the hard questions, because the hard questions are what plagues me. And it does, it plagues me. And a lot of people I feel that are on that um, pathway where depression really sets in, it's because the past confuses you so much as to why nothing is changing in the future. There is so much confusion around, well, if this is what we know to be true, because I would love to just say, okay, yeah, let's build a community, let's share resources and do these things. But I know that out there in the great wider world, and this is what history teaches us, there are those corrupt criminals, these people that will come in and take it and destroy us and hurt us for it. So if we know that to be true, why are we not fixing that problem? Why do these people want to take things? It's usually because they're coming from a place of lack. As a person that's grown up with nothing, I have stolen things because it's like, well, I'm never ever going to get that on my own. How else am I going to have the same things other people have? It's unfair that everybody else has these things and I don't. Why shouldn't I take it? And, I'm talking very insignificant things, but that mentality on a grand scale of I don't have, so I'm just going to take it. Why, you're not even a good person. Why should you have it? This is what we see, and that's that thought process that goes through the heads of these people that are acting in that hate. They're acting in that state of anger of like, which is right up in the middle. It's that drive. Well, I can't get what I want, so I'm just going to take it. I can't do what I want to do, so I'm just going to enforce it on everybody else.
Mm.
It's an imbalance in our system because they haven't found their purpose, they haven't been supported, and they haven't had the right environment to be brought up in. And this is the problem because we do have the resources on this planet that everyone can have everything they need. We shouldn't lack for general basics of nutrition. Healthy foods should be provided for everyone. Like we've got resources in our governments. Please buy farms instead of destroying all these things for roads and transport and infrastructure. Let's actually create productive environments where that food becomes a resource for all, and we're not then competing each other's in supermarkets and in production and marketing to outsell each other and rip each other off. I want to be able to eat good. That's unfair that every person does not have that right to eat good when it comes from the land we live on.
Mm.
It, these things are real and they can be changed with the simplest things. Do we have the resources we need? Once we've all got the resources we need, then we can look at our self and our passion on what this unique vessel can contribute to this world.
Mm.
Whether it's to be decorating, whether it's to be a cleaner, whether it's to be a singer, like all of these things are valuable. All of these things hold worth as long as they're directed to the right environment.
Mm.
And that right environment is in the wholesomeness of all. That's my mentality. How do we make that happen? Because that's when the things inside my head stop. Is
Mm.
when we can come together and we can discuss those things. How can we change
Mm.
it? Because there is always a better way. Always.
Always. And it starts with a conversation. It starts with speaking to other like-minded people. And if you're listening to this and you like feel these problems in society and you're like, yes, I agree, there needs to be solutions, we're connecting with people that have solutions. We have solutions of how we can harness the best of the individuals, whether it's a child, a teen, or an adult, in your human design, in your essence, in your energy, in your passions. And you get to live in that genius zone and have people that support you do that. There is solutions already there, and it's combining the dots, linking the things together. And that's part of my gift, where I get to link the people, the ideas, the places, work with people like Flea, who then enhance that and then do this, and you bring on this person, and there's this beautiful ripple effect when people start collaborating together with like minds, sharing their ideas, sharing their stories, and you find ways forward. And this is why we do what we do, coming from that heart-centered place, sharing our stories, sharing the vulnerable parts, and coming back to this sense of inspiration, this sense of empowerment, hope, faith, back and trusting each other, trusting our loved ones,
Mm,
trusting strangers, trusting humanity, because then we feel their essence when we talk to them,
mm,
when you converse with them, when you get to know them and you get to feel their hearts. So come and join us. We've got a beautiful mastery course
ugh,
and an awareness course, right? That taps into all of these things to allow you to dive deeper. You have to go down this odyssey of understanding self first, so that when you get
mm,
to be of service to the world, you can anchor that in your vessel. You can hold the energy and the frequency of your gifts to then be of service, whether it's to your family, if that's your mission, if that's your thing, your children are going to then have a ripple effect and see that authenticity and that sovereignty within you. You know, whether it's, you know, leading a community, leading a business, having a podcast, singing a song because your lyrics that hit people in the heart space. Like, you've got to master that. And we love doing that and helping people do that. So our beautiful awareness course is launching, and I'll let Felice share a little bit more about it because I'm excited about it. We've got amazing people working with us, not only in that program, but diving deeper into understanding like your soul map, looking deeper into the energetics, you know, looking at beautiful strategies that we've cultivated and shared in our program. Also, other programs that complement it. Fleet, what are you excited about with this
Oh,
awareness course?
so what Marie has just tapped into there is the very first pillar of Awakening. So Awakening into the oneness of yourself is our branding, and awareness is that first level or that first stone that we place down. This is all about discovering your shadow side, looking at what your triggers are and how you can turn them into a game, because that is just totally brilliant. Um, being able to alchemize and transform your reality. And it is such beautiful work to come into this fullness of self and this awareness of who you are, to find that origin of your soul, that level of deepness that then takes you into the next levels, which are the other five pillars of acknowledgement, acceptance, um, alignment,
Alignment.
and accountability. Like these five pillars combined is the mastery of self, and this is what we aim to teach, because our affiliate models means that we are celebrating people, and this is the masculine structure that's already present. We all know affiliate marketing and how just through sponsoring people you can make your own income. Well, we're doing that on a human level. Let's get to our mastery self and let's then affiliate and sponsor humans that do the work, humans that are in their element and master themselves. Like, I want to know that if I'm saying, hey, Marie, I really need a breathwork coach. Do you have someone in mind that's going to be suitable for me? I'm this type of person. Marie is a beautiful connection queen, and she's going to know the exact person to go to. You know, if I want to dive deep into my, um, some of the ancient ancestors and the different elemental lives, like, who do I go to, Marie? Like, these are the people that are our Awakening tribe. These are the speakers that will be at that turnkey event. They are all listed. Their links are on our website. We are there to sponsor this greatness of self, because when we each master what we love and we know, okay, I am an alchemizer. I like to expand things and make them big because everything is possible. I am the wonderland of adversity. Like, bring me a problem and I'm going to transform it into something else. That's just what I do. That's my element of expertise. And I want to be able to live in that and have those discussions on how we can transform this world. That's what I do. And when I can sit in that element, that means that there's other people that are in theirs. I'm not in that competition with the person that just wants to talk about health and mindset. That person, they have their value. They are in their mastery. They don't have to do all of it. It's what we love. When we do what we love, we're not working. We're in our joy. We're in our love, in our likeness. In our soul essence. That's what awareness does. Because even if that's the only course that you do out of the entire mastery program, that's enough to get you to the point where you're going to be honing in and mastering your life.
Amazing. And if you're listening in, if you stayed with us for this long, come and contact us because we have 40% off this beautiful program, and it's only available for the first few people that come in. So if you've listened
Yes,
in
10.
and you just love, 10, I was thinking of the pre-course. Yes, 10 people. That's still very, very exciting. Thank you, Flea. And we also have a beautiful soul map reading that comes with that to just allow yourself to anchor in which also links into that. And again, these are some beautiful courses that we've collaborated with other people, with us, and it's so, so valuable. And the ladies that are in it at the moment are really loving it. And I guarantee you're going to get so much value out of it. So connect with us and go, hey, what's that course about again? And we'll then chat with you more. But come and visit www.awaecnianacademy.com and see what else we've got happening, because this is part of our mission and purpose. And I know I've gone a little bit over time because we're so passionate, but come and connect with us, and we look forward to chatting with you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.